r/ask Reddit. What has slowly turned to network TV. It's the same rehashed garbage year after year. It's no wonder that Netflix and Amazon Prime were able to gain traction so easily. NBC presents Cop Show with a lame twist. Imgur, their developer, are breaking the mobile site piece by piece to push the app, and now it is impossible to use. In addition to that, the overall quality of posts and comments has gone downhill. The moment I discovered the Reddit app and the fact that I could curate my feed, I never went back to Imgur. The majority of Imgur was the front page of Reddit anyways. The average benefits of having a bachelor's degree. I will be graduating with a bachelor's degree of tourism, and I am not sure if I am ever going to use it. Snapchat. I used to be pretty interested in seeing what people are up to. After a huge format change, there's just less appeal to even watch their stories at all. Such a huge how the duck did you fail moment. They didn't do the things they should and did do the things they shouldn't consistently. That's what's happening with Facebook too. Radio. We've been relegated to mainly pop, R&B and country stations, yet they all play the same 15-20 songs over and over. PS. And they're all owned by the same 3 companies. Invasive money-making trends in video games. Games being made to be inconvenient in order to make the customer want to buy. Microtransactions for features many gamers have been used to having as a standard for many years. I get it's a business, but it's hard watching a lifelong hobby become ruined by either ads or intense grinding unless you spend even more money. Now we have a generation of gamers who see it as normal, and it's only going to become more and more of a thing. Won't be long until I sound like an old man. I remember when if I wanted to unlock all characters, I pressed a series of buttons at the main menu. These days you've gotta give someone your credit card for them. People love to compare microtransactions to pumping quarters into an arcade machine. Thing is though, we had a glorious few years when you'd buy a console game and it was complete and you could play it without an internet connection and finish a story, and your 3 closest friends could play some sort of PvP in your living room with just the console, 4 controllers and the game. Almost no games are like that these days. Facebook. Those who started it now hate it, and those who ruined it love it. Infrastructure in the US. Bridges, roads, aging rails, etc. This is so true. Being a civil engineer, I am also very excited about the opportunities that the shitty infrastructure will provide for me over the duration of my career. Hopefully we'll vote to actually fund such projects in the future. Teaching. It was never an easy job. But in my state, California, part of the ed code is that students can't be suspended for defiance, disturbing class, or disrespect. So basically over the past 3 years, the students have figured out that they can do pretty much anything they want and not suffer any real consequences. As a result, for the first time in my 15-year career, I am failing more than half of my students because there is no basic classroom control. The internet. Back when I was younger, I frequently visited dozens of different websites. There were countless forums and websites worth spending your time on, and clickbait wasn't a thing as much as it is nowadays. A decade ago my browsing habits were much more varied. Cracked, Gaia, YouTube, I Can Has Cheeseburger, TGWTG, Instructables, at least 4 different forums, game animation portals, etc. I only hit F5 whenever I was waiting for someone's forum reply or for something to be uploaded. Nowadays stuff is so centralized, and so much stuff from back in the day has disappeared or gone bad, that my internet browsing habits are a loop of Reddit, YouTube, Reddit, Reddit, Facebook, YouTube, Reddit, and now we gotta deal with manipulative practices from our content providers with their own agendas. Because many places online will try to steer us towards a specific viewpoint or conclusion, if not outright use us for their own profit. I still remember the outrage when ICHC's new owner said that users didn't matter, their data did. These days that's common enough to be found everywhere. Back then I felt like I had a home on the internet, as well as an identity. Not anymore, Christ, this struck a chord, and I only really kicked into the net in 2006 when I could move out. Geocaching. I was one of the first in my county doing it. Back when it was new enough that it got me a full-page article on the front of the local newspaper's sports section, something that I'd have thought extremely unlikely to ever happen. Early on it was great. There was no money involved, and people did new innovative things. I had one of the first underwater caches in the world. Then they got greedy and started premium memberships and requiring money for travel bugs, which were one of the fun spontaneous things the community had come up with. The user community and the admins got more and more toxic and competitive, at least in this area, and it got less fun. My scuba cache was archived because a couple of people couldn't find it, and I couldn't get out there to check on it within a couple of weeks. Chartering a dive boat is not cheap, so I left. And I don't want anything to do with the hardcore catchers that are still around. They'll race all over trying to be first to find and shit on anyone who's not as hardcore as them. I'm with you on this one. I got into geocaching around 2001 and did it for a few years. After a long hiatus I looked at it again and what the duck is this? It costs money now? Duck you. The Walking Dead. Yes, after season 3 it just became repeating scenarios. The Beth storyline did it for me. It was like the third storyline where one member of the group gets caught by another group. It was so repetitive and after that I realized the show was not going anywhere. They needed to move on from the petty interpersonal politics and get back to the zombies. I would say music festivals, local events. People start to see dollar signs and opportunity and it causes them lose their charm that made them popular. Nowadays I feel as if everything is overpriced and underperforming. Warped Tour, which is a really small traveling pseudo festival, is ending because they don't make enough money anymore. The big bands all go to the huge overpriced ones, and less people will pay for a ticket to see a bunch of small unknown bands play for a day. Food? The History Channel. The middle class. Nowadays, it's just poor people racking up debt so they can pretend they're not poor. The cost of living is skyrocketing, and wages haven't come close to keeping up. In 50 years, we went from being able to support a family in a middle class lifestyle on a single wage to struggling on dual income. Agreed. People nowadays live above their pay grade, being what is called house poor. I see so many people buy nice big houses. Housing is pretty expensive in my area. New cars, and have no money left over each month for anything else. American manufacturing. I've worked in a couple manufacturing plants, and have friends that work in others. We all have the same stories. Poor quality, poor processes, lack of innovation, old equipment, even older workforce since not many young people go for those jobs. You've got corporate entities that buy up these places, squeeze them for every last profit they can, outsource it overseas, and then close the doors and move on. There's no investing back into the company in the form of new machines, or a trained workforce that is taken care of. American politics. People used to vote based on principles and issues. Now it's just a giant flame war / celebrity gossip TMZ reality show mashup. The president used to be respected by most, now it's a 50/50 love-hate completely divided by party lines. Representatives no longer represent the individuals, rather corporations and special interest groups. Also American medical system. I work in medicine and most people have no clue how little your doctors control your treatment now. So much is at the mercy of a computer algorithm from the insurance company. In all honesty, we tend to look back with rose-colored glasses. The truth is, it's always been particularly nasty and pedantic to some extent. Remember, Jefferson claimed Adams was transgender, which, at the time, was a pretty negative thing. It hasn't really changed over the centuries. It's still just a big flame war. Jobs. Used to work for amazing companies with great pay and amazing benefits, bonuses, incentives. Just a positive environment. They had career development programs in place to motivate staff and move them up within the organization. Companies would dish out a budget for office parties, holiday parties, and promote an inclusive work culture. I would get paid for social responsibility or to volunteer to charities on behalf of the company. Take time off work to attend industry events and network. Paid sick days, personal days, paid vacation and wellness subsidies and programs to promote a healthy work-life balance. Now every company I work for, big and small, seem to put profit before people and has greatly reduced the interest in providing a positive work environment and culture. This has resulted in low morale and motivation. They overwork and underpay their staff and will terminate a position to save a buck, potentially ruining careers. I'm not sure when this shift happened, but I noticed it within the last 5-10 years. Family Guy. It's 100% political now and seems to be directed towards a demographic who doesn't have interest in the show. Cartoon Network. It spams Teen Titans Go constantly when it isn't airing reruns on Adult Swim. Don't forget that Uncle Grandpa was a thing. Never forgive their sins. This happened long ago, but the educational channels such as A&E, TLC, the History Channel, etc., they used to have some really great, quality programming that was interesting and educational. Now it's all shows about families with billions of children, trashy teen moms, pageant families, storage lockers, pawn shops, crime shows, etc. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.